Hi, I'm Don, and this is the Hobbyist Geek. Welcome back, y'all. Today we are starting with a brand new project. This is the Cutebee corner coffee shop book nook, or miniature house. And frankly, it looks great. I can't wait. So let's take a look at the packaging and see what comes inside. All right, so here is the box, the packaging, and look at that beauty. This is apparently part of a series, the City Walk series, so I'm definitely going to have to take a look and see how that all plays out. Maybe there's more pieces we can build. There is this little trapdoor function here that'll open up and give a better view. I'm looking forward to seeing how that builds too. A nice picture of the interior with some more details. Here we are. Apparently, it's a 5 to 8 hour build, 294 pieces with a 4-star difficulty. Should be fun. Let's get this thing open. Okay. No. Here we go. All right. So here we have a variety of little plastic pieces and stuff. That looks cool. We'll dump this out and take a look inside later. Let's see what else we got. Okay, we've got our wood all nice and sealed, and as per usual, we will lay this out on the table for you to get a good look. Here we have, I'm guessing what'll be the windows. We got some nice plastic here, already perforated, some stickers, and our instruction book. All right. Well, this looks fairly basic here. For those new, we will be using Eileen's tacky glue. We will be applying it with some toothpicks. I do have some super glue on the side just in case it's needed. And we'll be using Impressa wood lubricant. Now this has been rebranded to Impressa drawer slide wax, but same stuff, different label. But this is on any moving parts. I've also got some 600 grit sandpaper to help smooth away the burrs. All right, let me get all this laid out. We'll see all the parts. Alrighty, oh, here we are. And there's actually a lot less than I anticipated. We have 8 sheets of wood, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. We also have the plastic, which I'm assuming is windows, right there. We have our sticker set. We have some clear stickers here, which I'm guessing is going to be used to hold some of the cabling in place. We have some dot stickers. No idea what that's going to be for. We have these little button coffee cup looking things, which looks pretty cool. A couple of plastic pastries. This is the parts for a little mixer. You can see here what the final product's going to be. This, some sort of kettle or urn. A couple of hinges and some screws, little miniature screwdriver, and a sanding stick. Along with your lights, there are 3 LEDs and 1 switch. And as always, make sure you test them before you begin your assembly. All right, let's get some parts out and get started on this thing. Alrighty, so here are the parts we need for step 2. Step 1 is actually testing the LEDs. So we're on step 2 here. These are the parts required to complete it. we're going to kick things off with this set of parts right here. This is a B32, and this is B37. You can see the long white peg here that'll go into that hole in the middle, just like that. Okay, and now we're going to take B34, and it's very important on the orientation here, okay? See that little peg there? That indicates this is the front. And when it's facing you, then this peg should be on the right, and these holes will be on the left. This will go into the leftmost hole from underneath. So should go in like this, just like that. All right. Next up, we have another B32, and this time we have B38, and it's basically going to do exactly the same thing. That long white peg through that hole, and then up from underneath into this center hole here. All right, there we go. Very nice. Now we have B33 here, and B33, we're just going to glue it on right about there. So let me go ahead and get that glued in place. There we go. Look at that. Gorgeous. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take B35 here, and this is B41. And again, orientation matters. Notice these pegs, these will be facing away from you. So this is the front. And this peg here will go into that hole right there. Just like that. Then we're going to take that peg, and that'll go into that slot on B40. Just like that, right there. Then we can take this assembly, and this peg here will go into that slot right there. Beautiful. And with all of that in place, we have B45, which will go into this rear slot right there with this peg. And there you go, look at that. And now that we've got all of this in place, we're gonna, I can't believe it. I forgot the other side. That's okay. We'll bring out our parts sheet here, and we're gonna need B39 here. So let me pop that out real quick. All right, now that we've got this out and sanded, my apologies. Look at this, already on the first build step and messing up. But it's basically a mirror of this, and those three pegs will go into the same three holes. So let's go ahead and make that happen too. There you go, look at that. All right. Now we've got this, which is B46. Those two pegs on the back here will go into these two slots right there. All right. So you've got your little drip tray in there. Look at that. And now for this last peg right here, we have B42, and there's a hole right there that'll go on there. And there you go. Step 2 is complete, and we have ourselves, I'm guessing, a coffee maker. Very cool. Alrighty, here is what we're going to need for step 3. We are going to need our hand grinder, and we are going to need to assemble it. There are no instructions in the instruction book for assembling it, but they do have kind of some mini instructions here. So let's see if we can make that happen. All right, looks like we've got this piece, and we've got a little drawer here, which will go in, I'm guessing just like that. And, okay, nope, already got it wrong. All right, so this solid area is the bottom, so the hollow will be the top. So we'll want to make sure the hollow in the drawer also faces up. There we go. All right. Yeah, there's a little nub on the back of the drawer, so you may have to tilt it to get it in, but it also means that it won't easily come right back out again. Then this will cover the top. Just nice little push fit. There we go. Nice and neat. And then we've got our bowl here, which will go right in that little groove. And it looks like I actually have two of these mixing handles, but you really only need one. And it's going to pop through the hole in the bowl all the way through into the base, hopefully without breaking anything. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. And our mixer is complete. All right. With that done, let's clean up the station just a bit. And what we'll do is we'll bring out this. This is B5. Note the cutaway area over here. That is the back right. Okay, so it should look like this. We're going to start with B49 here, which will go into this slot right here, just like that. We'll follow that up with B50, which will go into this slot. Boom. Now we've got B51 right here. That'll go into this slot. And we're going to follow that up with B52, which will go into the next one. There we go. Look at this. B53 here, which will go into this slot. Just like that. Very nice. And we've got our assembly from step 2, which will go into these two slots here. All right, just like that. Next up, we'll take our mixer. Now that's going to go onto the counter right about here. Of course, there's no peg on the bottom. These are double-sided tape. That's basically what these are. So we'll just peel one off. We'll pop it on the bottom of this. Then we'll peel the film off the top of it. There we go. So you've got the sticker on there. And then we will flip it over and get it placed. Just like that. How nice. And we can finish things off with B36, which will go into this hole right here. Just like that. And this is the end of step 3. And just look at that countertop. And clearly we're building a sink here. Can't wait to see what it looks like. All right, step 4 here is going to be very, very easy. I'm going to kick things off with B61. Make sure the flat side is facing you. This is the front. We have B60. Make sure the painted side is facing inward. So this tab is facing the front. And that'll go here on the side. Just like that. B59 for the other side. And B58 will go in the rear. Just like this. So now we have our sink. And those two pegs will go into C1 in these two holes from behind. And there you go. That is the end of step 4. Nice and easy. Alrighty-o, here is what we're going to need for step 5. I'm going to kick things off with B22. And on the short ends, you can see there's a hole right in the middle. That is for these B27s. There are 2 of them. Make sure the painted side is facing outward. Alright, just like that. You have B26 here with a very long peg that'll go into the rear hole. And yeah, it's going to push all the way through, and there's going to be more pegs sticking out the bottom. B25 will go in the front, just like that. And for the second time in this build already, I have forgotten a piece. Wow. It would be B23 here. So let's get that out. All right, so we have B23. And that is going to go on top with these two pegs into the two small holes here. Now, make sure that it's in this orientation. So you've got the single small hole, that is the front. Okay, so make sure that's lined up with this design right there and not on this side there. Beautiful. This is B31. That'll go into this hole right here. B30, which will go on the other side. We have B28 here, which will go in the front. Beautiful. Now we're going to take B24 here, and again, the hole should be facing the front. And we have B29, which will go into that hole from the bottom, just like that. And then these two slots on the sides will go onto the tops, the top pegs here. Look at that. Now comes the fun part. What we're going to do is we're going to take number 4 on our sticker sheet right here. And you'll notice, if you look real close, there's a slot here and a slot here. So what we're going to do, this is the bottom. We're going to slide that into this slot right here, as even as we can make it. Then we'll roll it up and take the top and slide it into that upper slot. So let me see if I can get that done. All right, it should look like that when you're done. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That was very, very difficult to get in place, and I'm not sure it's entirely stable. I'm going to keep an eye on it, and if it does what I think it's going to do, which is, I think the glue on the back of this is going to loosen, and the sticker is going to start coming up. I may end up having to use some tacky glue to permanently fit it in place. But just getting it in by itself was difficult. As far as tips go, I'd suggest creasing the top and bottom. Not too much because you don't want it to stick to itself, but enough to get a crease in there. And then starting at the bottom and making your way to the top, just slowly and diligently, and with a little patience, I'm sure you'll be able to get it too. And this actually completes step 5. So we have our cash register. Very nice. All right, step 6 is going to be interesting. We're going to start off with these B57 pieces. You're going to need 6 of them. What you're going to want to do is glue them together on the flat edges to make something that looks like this. You're going to want 2 of them. So 3 get glued together, and then the other 3 will glue together. So let's get that done first. All right, now that we have 2 of these, Ready to rock and roll. We're going to be using sticker 2. It's these right here. And we'll pull them out. And here's where things are going to get kind of tricky. See, what you want is to set this down like right in the center so that this will come and meet itself at the top. So what I'm thinking of doing, and I hope this works, is kind of putting this together. Giving a little crease to help me determine the exact center. And we'll pull it apart. Gently. So now I have a center point. Put this in here. And then we will fold it up and hope for the best. Let's see what happens. All right. What do you think? I think I came out pretty good. Very nice. Just so you know, there's enough slack here at the top that I was actually able to bring it up and meet these at the top without actually sticking anything to the wood here. So I basically just pinched these together and then slowly made my way down to tighten everything up until we got to this point. So let's see if I can do it a second time. All right. And there we go. 2 coffee bags ready to rock and roll. And that is the end of step 6. All right, here are the parts we need for step 7. We're going to kick things off with B2 here. And we're going to take 3 of these B14s, little cupcakes here. They've got a little post on the bottom. Those will go into these center holes. Now, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. This looks equidistant, but per the instructions, you can see there's like a wider lip on this end, as far as, you know, a painted lip, than there is on this. And this should be facing the front per the instructions, so that's what we're going to do. There we go, just like that. Next up, we have 2 of these B3s, and we got 3 each of these B16s and B15s. And we're going to have to glue these pieces onto here. Now, the instructions show all 3 of the same type pastries on one shelf. Okay, basically like this. And then same for the croissants here. Pretty sure that doesn't matter. If you wanted to do a little mix and match, something like that, be my guest. It's really not going to make a difference here. But I'm going to stick with the instructions and keep all the same pastries on the same shelf. All right, here are my shelves, ready to rock and roll. All right, with that done, what we're going to do is we're going to take C5-1. It's the one that's got 5 holes in it. This cutout here, that is the front of our little display cabinet here. So we're going to take our muffins, and that'll go in the large hole here on the bottom. So let's go ahead and get that in. Just like that. Then we're going to take one of these, I think this is B4. and that's going to go into this small hole right there. All right, should look like that. That was significantly harder to get in than I thought it would be. So I'm actually going to take a step forward and do the other B4 in the other small hole, and hopefully we're not going to run into problems later down the road. Yeah, see, that went in much easier. But okay. Now we'll take one of our shells, rolls as part of the instructions, and that'll go into the middle hole. Just like that. With our final shelf into the top hole. And again, as per the instructions, it's the croissant. Bingo. And now we've got C5-2, which will go on the other side with these 3 pegs going into these 3 holes. Again, this little cutout here is the front of our cabinet. Bingo. There we go. Look at that. Little pastry display case. And that is the end of step 7. Alrighty, here's what we're going to need for step 8. I'm going to kick things off with B18 here. And note this large hole here and this large hole here. That is where the pegs on the top of our display here are going to go from underneath. So let's get that plugged in. All right, look at that. Now we're going to take B13, and be careful with this. This is very floppy here for good reason, and you'll see why. And these 3 pegs along the top are going to go into this hole, and this hole. So let's go ahead and start with our solid side right here and work our way down. So this is what you should be left with. Pretty cool, huh? Now we've got our cash register, and remember we've got that post sticking out the bottom? That's going to go into that little hole right there. Just like that. Now we're going to make us a little box. So we have 2 of these B56s and 2 of these B54s. And to make the box, notice only one side is painted on them. Okay, so orientation is going to matter here. The B54s will be the front and rear, and the painted side will be facing you, facing the front. For B56, there are 3 pegs, okay? This one here on the center has to be facing down, and the painted side will always face left. So we'll plug this in like this. Just like that. We'll do the same for the other B56. Just like that. So you can see both painted faces are facing left. With this other B54 to close it in. Just like so. Now you've got these 2 posts on the bottom, and those will go into these 2 holes right there. So you're left with this. And that is the end of step 8. Alrighty, here's what we're going to need for step 9. We're going to be doing a little more decoration on our countertop here. So first things first, let's get some glue out here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take B43 here. We're going to put a little glue on the bottom. And that's going to go into our box here as far back as we can make it. Much like that. And then we have B44, which will go right in front of it. Just like that. Now, we got some fun stuff. So basically, we have two B48s and a B47. And basically, we're going to sandwich B47 between the 48s, much like this. So let's go ahead and get these glued together. All right, so it should look a little something like this when you're done. And now we're going to take sticker 3 here. And we're going to line it up on this side and then come over the top. Now, they do show slits in the sticker up here. I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. Well, it looks like my blade here is not very sharp. May have to fix that. That's okay. It's really only going to be viewed from this one side anyway. And my bet is it's going to be barely noticeable. So that's mine. And that's going to glue in the front part here. So let's go ahead and get that in too. All right. Should look a little something like that when you're done. Now we've got our coffee bags here, and those are going to go on this side of the counter. Much like that. And then we're going to use a double-sided sticker here on the bottom of our little strawberry bread is what they call it. And that'll go right here. And there we go. All right. And that is the end of step 9. Let's see what's next. Okay, here we are with parts needed for step 10. We're going to kick things off by taking B21 here. Notice this lighter side on the paint, that faces down. So this tab here is going to go into that slot right there. Painted side facing left. Just like that. Then we're going to take this assembly that we made earlier, and these tabs here will go into these 2 slots right there. All right, look at that. All right, now we're going to take B1. Notice one side has 3 tabs and one has 2. The side with 2 tabs is the bottom, and that's going to go into this slot and this one. There is a bend right here. When you're bending it, be gentle. There we go, should look like that. And then we have C23 here, which will just go on top. These 3 slots along the edge will match the 3 tabs there. Boom, look at that. And that is the end of step 10. For step 11, we're going to bring out the other 2 assemblies that we've made. Let's start with the countertop here. You got 3 tabs here, and there's a hole here, another one here, and one more right here that's actually covered by your coffee machine. And those will all go together onto these tabs. All right, there you go. Look at that. Incidentally, that also finishes our sink. Very nice. Now you notice there's 2 holes here. Well, on this, there's 2 tabs right there. That'll go into those 2 holes. All right. And there you go. This is a little loose, but it's still tabbed in. I may put some glue in there just to be a little more secure with it, but there you go. And that is the end of step 11. Alrighty, y'all. Here are the parts that we need for step 12. We're going to kick things off by taking this. This is F4. Note the little peg on the leg. That is the front of F4. You can notice these two holes here. They should be in that orientation. And we will take H6, and this peg will go into that lower hole, just like that. Then we have H7, and this peg will go into the upper hole. All right, so you should have something that looks like this. Now you're going to take F9, and you'll notice that the peg on the foot is actually at the rear now, okay? And those holes will be in that orientation, and that will cover the other side. All right, just like that. So now you have a peg on the front left and a peg on the rear right. With this in hand, we're going to take H8, and that peg will go into that slot, just like so. Then we have F12, and that hole there will go onto this peg. Whew, it was harder to get in than I thought it would be. It's a little off kilter. There's a little gap here. It doesn't go all the way down. I'm not sure if that's by design or not, but well, let's find out. This is F13, and it's the same deal on the other side. Now see, that one sits a lot more flush. Doesn't make a whole lot of difference here. I'm going to just kind of play with it a little bit. If need be, I can always glue this, but no, I think I've got it. Just lifting this up a little bit seems to have taken care of it. But here you go. That is the end of step 12, and now we have us a chair. Alrighty, so here is what we're going to need for step 13. What we're going to do is we're going to kick things off with C25 here. And we have C22. And this side here is going to go into that hole, just like that. And then we're going to push it into this, which is C21. There we go. And now notice it should push all the way through, and you should still have a bit of a post down here. With that done, you'll take all of this and replicate it. All right, now we have two. All right, notice that this is unpainted on one side, so this is definitely the front. And we're going to take C19 and put it on top of one, just like that. And we've got C20, which will go on top of the other, just like that. Now, we're going to bring out this, and we've got not C, but we got 11, sticker 11 here. There's two of them. Those are going to go onto each of these tables. I'm not sure that orientation matters too much, but there is a way that they are shown in the instructions, and I'm going to try to replicate that. So let me get that done. I'll show you the end result. Okay, so this is how this one looks in, note the front. So it's kind of at an angle like that. So this is how this one looks in the instructions. And again, there's the front. Note that this is a little off center, again, as per the instructions. Next, we're going to take C11 here, We're just going to glue that down right about here, just like that. So let's go ahead and get this glued in too. All right, there it is, all glued in place. Now we've got this muffin and our two cups. All of these, all three of these, are going to be attached with double-sided stickers. The muffin will go on the cutting board here, 1 cup on this table, 1 cup on this table. So let me go ahead and get those in too. All right, there we go. 2 tables fully assembled, ready to rock and roll, and that completes step 13. Alrighty, here is what we need for step 14. We're going to kick things off with B20 here. Notice there are 5 small holes and then 2 larger ones. These larger ones are towards the front. So this is the front. And what we're going to do is we're going to take H4 here, and we'll take one of those pegs. We're going to push it into one of these holes so the rounded area is facing the front, just like that. And now we're going to do it 4 more times in all the small holes. And there you go, look at that. And with that done, along these top pegs, we have A8. And that'll go on just like this. All right, so you should be left with something that looks like this. Now you see you've got these 2 pegs right here. Well, we have F14. You've got this hole, and that's where they're going to fit in, just like this. Look at that. All right. Then we're going to come over here, and we have another A8. And we have 5 of these H5s. And again, these holes, this is actually going to be the top. So it's going to go like this. And these H5s will go in from the back, just like so. Just like that. Okay? And again, 4 more times. All right, look at this. And now we're going to take B19 here, and that's going to go on the back pegs. All right, look at that. And with this in place, you've got this peg right here that will go in the remaining hole on this F14. Just like that. And we have another F14 for the other side. All right, look at that. Now, if you come to the underside, you still have these 2 large holes here and here. You're going to want to remember where those are. You'll see why in a minute. This is E3, and that is going to plug into those 2 holes. But first, we're taking sticker 10 here, okay? And what we're going to do, we're going to take one of the short ends, and right at the bottom of this piece right here, we're going to stick this thing on and then wrap it all the way around. And there you go, look at that. And now that that's in place, this is why you want to remember where those holes were, because you're going to want to poke them out. Much like that. And with those holes punched, we're going to take our E3 and push this up from the bottom. And there you go. Look at that. 1 couch fully assembled, ready to rock and roll. And that is the end of step 14. Oh, In case you don't have tweezers handy, they do have these two little tools, H9 and H10, to help, punch things down. So you can use those as well. Let's see what's next. All right, here's what we need for step 15. I'm going to kick things off with C4 and C12. And this lone peg here at the bottom is going to go right through the center there. Make sure it's kitty corner like this, or going right through the middle, so that these 4 holes are on either side. You got 2 on either side. It'll go all the way through, so the peg is still out there. And now in those 4 holes, we have 4 of these C13s. And they're going to go in with this lone peg in the center, small down, and this upper peg here facing the outside. So much like that. And then you do it 3 more times. All right, there you go. Now you may have noticed that at the top of C12, you've got one side with 2 little pegs. It's that center peg here that we're going to be looking into, and we're going to take C3 here, and it's going to go into this hole right here. Okay, so let's make that happen. All right, should look like that when you're done. And now we've got C2, and this little ring is actually going to glue onto these 6 little posts that are sticking up there. So let's get some glue in there and make that happen. All right, should look like that when you're done. Now when you're ready, we're going to take sticker 12 here, and that's going to wrap all around this base to make us a nice large vase. And there you go. Look at that. Not sure how I feel about the sticker going around like that, but okay, I'll deal. All right, holding it in this orientation, in the far left hole, we have C26. And in the center hole here, we have C27, in whichever order suits you best. And there you go. One very large potted plant, ready to rock and roll, and that is the end of step 15. All right, step 16, we're going to assemble all of the stuff that we have put together so far. So we'll start with our couch here. It's got 2 pegs on the rear feet, and that will go into these 2 holes right there. Just like that. Now we're going to take our table with our muffin on it, and that peg on the bottom is going to go into this hole right here, just like that. Our potted plant is going to go into this hole over here. There you go. Beautiful. Now this chair, and if you'll recall, it's got 1 peg in the front left and 1 peg on the rear right. That will go into a hole right here and right here. Okay, just like that. And our last table here will go into this hole right there. Look at that. This is looking pretty good, isn't it? All right, let's see what is next. Alrighty, here are the parts that we need for step 17. May be hard to see, but over here we've got part of this, I don't even know if it's showing up on camera at all, but little piece of the PVC, because we're putting in our first window. That piece came from up here on your sheet. There is film on both sides, so make sure that you take the film off of both sides before you apply it. We'll get to that later in this stage. For now, excuse me, for now, what we'll do is we'll pull out our base, make a little room here. We're going to take F2, and the light brown is what will face down. Now right here, this does bend a little bit, okay? It will go into, these two tabs will go into this slot, and this tab will go into this slot up here. So let's go ahead and get those in. So it should look like that when you're done. And then we've got F3, same deal, light brown on the bottom, little bend in the middle. And we've got this slot and this slot up here for these two tabs. Look at that. Now comes the real fun. You see, there are 4 little tabs sticking out. There's the 2 large ones here, and then 2 smaller ones right here. That will go into this slot, and then these 2 little slots right here. These pieces you need to very carefully separate, okay, because this is all one piece. And they're going to bend in, and those tabs that are on them will go into the little holes here and here. So let's see if we can find a way to make that happen. All right, there you go. Be careful up in this area because there's actually a second little bend right here. So it does a little bend here and then another bend to make it more straight to fit into that hole. And the same on the other side. But if you manage to get it in, this is what it should look like. All right. Now with that done, what we're going to do is take, I'm not sure that order matters here because it seems to go either way. So you know what? I'm going to do it this way. We're going to take G7 here, and that's going to pop onto these 2 pegs right there. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like it's this hole here and this hole right here. There you go. Look at that. Then we're going to take E4 and G6. And you'll notice there are 2 little pegs right here on G6. That's for these 2 holes. So it will go just like this. Just like that. And from there, you got 3 pegs here, and you've got 1 big hole right here. This tab in that hole, and the pegs should line up here, here, and here. All right, look at that. Awesome. Now, we're going to take G10 here, I'm going to flip it around to the back, and we have two F25s. These pegs here will go into these holes, just like this. There you go, just like that. Same for the other side. All right, so this is what you're left with. Now you've got these two pegs on either side here. It's a total of 4 pegs. And those will go into these 4 holes down here. Okay, now the instructions want you to put this in first, but I think you should actually glue the window on first. Now the window is going to cover this area up here. So you just take your transparent piece and you'll want to glue it down right in there. So let me get some glue in here, glue this down, and I will be right back. All right, I don't know how well that's showing up on camera there, but as you can see, it is in place, or at least as I hope you can see. I hope I'm getting enough light reflection off the PVC to show that the window is indeed in place. And now let's go ahead and plug this into those holes. All right. And there you go. Look at this. Things are definitely looking up. And that is the end of step 17. Let's see what's next. Alrighty, here are the parts that we're going to need for step 18. You probably can't see them, but there are 2 more of the PVC pieces here. If you're looking at your template, it is this part here and this part here. All right. And to begin, we've got F23 here. And if you're looking at it, you'll notice that one of the short ends has 2 posts and one has 1 post. The 1 post side is the top. And then you have F18 here, and this right here should be on the top right. This is the top, okay? You'll notice you've got these little hooks on the end there. Those will go into the left side of F23 here, just like this. There you go, look at that. Now, F23 does have a little area that'll bend right here in the middle. And what you're going to want to do is take G15 here, and this will hook on this tab, and that hole right there is for that tab right there. You will have to bend it a little bit to make it fit. That's by design. All right, so it should look like this when you're done. Now comes the fun part. You see, the smaller, and you'll notice I put gloves on to avoid fingerprints here, but the smaller of these 2 is going to go onto this flat area right here. Should be a nice, easy glue job. There is, there's enough overage on the top, bottom, and even a little bit here on the left side to get some glue in there to hold that in place. The larger of the 2, on the other hand, is going to have to go into here. And when you do, it's going to have to bend. So this one is why I got the gloves on, because you've got to get your fingers in here to push this in place. So whatever works best for you as far as methodology, but it's just some glue around the inner edges, and then we got to get those transparent pieces in. So let me get to it. All right, and there it is. Look at that. Spectacular. All right. And that actually completes step 18. Bear in mind, this area here, you're probably going to want to hold in place because this is going to want to pop out like you wouldn't believe. So you're definitely going to want to hold it in place until the glue fully dries. But that is what it'll look like. Alrighty, y'all, here we are at step 19. Only one piece of wood this time. There are two pieces of PVC. These come from here and here. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to glue the PVC to this piece, one piece here, one piece here. The three pegs, that's the bottom, and this is the front, okay? There's a little bend right here. Now those three pegs will end up going into these three holes, okay? The instructions, order of operations, is to put this in place first and then put the PVC on after it's attached to the larger model. I'm going to go ahead and put the PVC on now, making very sure not to put any glue on this center beam area here and interfere with the bend, okay? And hopefully that will work. So let me get this PVC in. Let me get my windows in. We'll see how this turns out. Alrighty, so there we go. Both of those are in. We're going to set this to the side for a minute and let it dry. And while that's happening, we're going to take the assembly we built in the last step. We're going to bring this out, and there are four pegs, or four holes, I should say, down here, and four pegs along the bottom that this will plug into. So let's go ahead and get that in. All right, there we go, in place. All right, now I'm going to give the other piece just a little more time to dry before we install it, and then we'll get that in too. All righty, hopefully that is sufficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these three pegs and we will put them into these three holes with that slight bend right there. Let's see how this works. All right, there we go. Look at that. See if I can get the light, the glare off of that inner window. Can't seem to find the right angle for it. Oh, there it goes. So you can see we've got our windows in there on both sides. Excellent. And that completes step 19. All right, here is what we need for step 20. You're going to need G2, F10, and yet another piece of PVC. Looking at your sheet here, it is this piece that comes from right here. So There's another bendy part right here. This is the front of the piece. So we're going to come to the back and we're going to take our PVC and we're going to glue it here to create this window. All right, there we go. Now, important to note, don't let the PVC overlap this lower bit here. These two holes are going to slide into these hooks right here eventually. And as you can see, it's going to lie flush with the bottom of this. So don't let the PVC overlap that. While we wait for this to dry, we'll bring this back out and we'll take our G2, and there are two holes and there are two posts. Whoop. Okay, there's one post here. There's a second post here on this piece, not on this. So let's go ahead and get that in. You can see also there's a gap here. That's also for this post. So you can slide that in and go from there. So it should look a bit like that when you're done. Now for this, mentioned that these two holes here are going to slide onto those hooks. You've also got a tab right here. And that tab is going to go into this hole right here. So let's make that happen. All right, there we go. That is what it will look like when done. And we can move on. That is the end of step 20. Alrighty, here's what we need for step 21. We have G18 right here. We have F2, or excuse me, F1, and one more piece of PVC. This is a very small one that comes from here, this area. Looking at F1, I don't know why I keep thinking this is 2. This is the front, so we will flip it over and we'll get that PVC applied to the back. All right, there we go. This has been applied. Oh, can't really get a glare going there, but can't find the angle. But it is in there, I promise. We'll let this dry before we move on to the next step. So I will be back in a minute. All right, this should be sufficiently dry. I've taken the gloves off because I don't think we're going to deal with the PVC again for a little while. This is going to go onto this piece from underneath with this larger peg going into this slot and this smaller peg going into this slot. So there is, of course, another bend. Let's see if we can get that in. All right, look at that. With this in place, I'm going to bring this back out. You'll notice there are 6 tabs up here, okay? That is for this hole, this hole, this hole, this slot, and that hole. This will remain empty for now. So let's line everything up and just push this puppy down. All right, there we go. Look at that. And that is the end of step 21. Let's see what's next. Alrighty, here are the parts that we need for step 22. We've got 2 hinges, we've got A1, and we've got 4 screws. Now A1 is printed on both sides. This is going to be the back of your model, while this is the front. And over here, you may see a couple of little holes, and there are two more right down here. You're going to take your hinge, okay, and make sure that the center part that pops up a little bit is actually facing front. So it's like this. And you're going to line it up with those holes and screw it in. Same down here. And there you go. Look at that. Two hinges fully installed, looking great. And that is actually the end of step 22. Pretty small one there. Okay, here's what you're going to need for step 23. You're going to start with the 20 here, and that's going to glue right here. Make sure you don't cover this hole right there, but it should just line up with the bottom of this darker space here. And we'll just glue that in place. Then you've got D36, which will surround this larger picture. Again, all of this is going to have to be glued in. We have D41 for this picture here. We have D37 for this one. D25 for this one up here. And then three D24s for the remaining pictures down here. And this is just going to be a lot of glue on the back of these and getting it lined up. So I'm going to cut from here and I'll come back when it's done. Alrighty, and here they are, glued dry, all in place. Look at that. And now we have our parts out for step 24. We're going to kick things off with the only piece we need to glue, which is D3 and D4. So we're just going to glue D4 to D3, just like so, and then we'll give it a chance to dry. All right, should look like that when you're done. We'll set that to the side for the moment. Now we're going to take D23 here. We've got two B9s. You'll notice this peg on the short end, that is the bottom, and there's a peg on the long side that will go into this hole, and then another one right there. This uneven surface is the top of this. And there we go, should look like that when you're done. And now these two pegs will go into these two holes. Make sure that the pegs here are facing the rear, facing backwards. There we go, should look like that when you're done. And now you're going to pull out this urn thing, and we're going to use one of these double-sided stickers to place it on the shelf here. And there you go. That shelf is complete. And with that done, you're going to take these two pegs on the back, and they are going to go into these two holes right there. And look at that. All right, now we're going to pull out D2 here and D38, and the peg on the bottom will go into this hole right here. Just like that. And now we will take our D3, D4 combo, and that peg will go into the other hole. So it looks like that. And now you've got the pegs on the bottom, or on the back, I should say. and those will go into these two holes right there. Look at that. There you go. That is the end of step 24. And with the end of step 24, we've officially reached the halfway point. And look at what we've accomplished so far. We're beginning to build on the back wall, and we've got all of this amazing detail done for the interior and the front of the building. This is looking spectacular so far. I can't wait to see what comes up next, but it'll have to wait for the next video. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.